What's happening, fellas? I'm here with my good friend Bill Pemberton, who I've known for over 25 years. How you doing, Bill?
Good. Good to see you again.
Back in the day when I was racing motocross, he was always trackside with the C-Cycle suspension truck. Still is to this day. Sometimes at the track, it's him or FC Mike. And one of the things Bill is known for is he's an engineer. And not only is he building new bike suspension like on the 2024 Suzuki's, but this is a 1982 Suzuki RM250 that we're building for a friend that wants to race the two-stroke nationals and vintage days and that kind of stuff, and he wants a bike that he can huck over the triple jump and ride on today's modern tracks, which are a lot gnarlier than the ones in 82. Now, the stock shock on an 82 RM250 is kind of rebuildable, but not really. So for this application, we went with the Race Tech shock. Bill custom special ordered this to his spec for the Suzuki RM250 1982 that we built for a friend of ours, frame up built. We do suspension in-house here, but there's some stuff you gotta seek out the experts for. And when it comes to the forks and shocks, for this level, we outsource it to Bill or one of our other vendors. But for this 82 RM250, Bill is the go-to guy. If you've got a vintage bike and you want the best suspension money can buy, Bill, can you just describe this shock? Now, this is better than what comes stock on a 24 RM Z250, and the full floater suspension is pretty good. But can you describe this shock to us a little bit?
The biggest advantage of this shock is it has the coatings, it's rebuildable, and the older shocks wore out and very quickly with the shock bodies and components. So trying to resurrect those to have them work and trust them on a bike, it's somewhat difficult. If you're just riding the bike for fun, it's a different thing. But if you're going to compete, you have to put yourself on them. This is a modern shock, modern design with coatings, and it's going to handle the rigors of what the rider's going to put it through.
Light years better than what came in 82. It's 40 years more technology. And the engines on the 82s were fantastic. It was the suspension that really lacked in the brakes. So this brings us into the latest generation. And for 25 years, full time, and I'm talking motorcycle industry full time, that's working weekends and going to the events. Bill's been trackside and at his shop working around the clock on suspension for 25 years. That's all he does. So we do a little bit of everything here. He's the suspension guru. Your website was C-Cycle?
C-Cycle.com.
You want to go onto his website, give him a call, he will hook you up. This was special ordered from Race Tech. They've got about a 4 to 6 week lead time to build you a shock, so if you want one done, give Bill a call. Now the forks, the stock Suzuki forks are pretty good, but these are the stock internals, and they were pretty much wasted. The bushings, everything was worn out, the seals. Now, you've upgraded these with the Race Tech Gold Valve, and I got a chance to try these out earlier. They're like smooth as butter. Fantastic. Can you tell us a little bit about the Race Tech Gold Valve?
Well, this fork design, it's a dampening rod design. So essentially what happens is when the fork compresses, it moves the oil from the outer part of the lower chamber up through a dampening rod, and it spills out the top. The dampening characteristics are kind of limited. They were, back in the old days, they used to braze holes and drill new holes and try to get them to work decently. What the emulator does is it sits on top of that cartridge rod, and it controls the oil flow out of the end of the cartridge rod. So, and the emulator is actually tunable. There are different springs. There are no valve. There's no valving per se, but you can custom tune it with springs and set up on it. A good suspension tuner that knows the emulator system knows what to put in, how to pre-tune that. The main fork spring holds the emulator in place, so everything sits as it's a really decent upgrade for this fork.
So Bill's been an engineer for over 40 years, and the guys that he gets the Race Tech suspension from, Race Tech suspension from, their founder Paul Feed has been in this since 1984. He did a lot of innovations like the DVS Gold Valve, the Delta Valve, the Gold Valve emulators, and the shot clock. He graduated summa cum laude in mechanical engineering. 40 years as a master technician, an international author, and a professional motocrosser. So these guys that Paul from Race Tech and Bill from C-Cycle are the best in the industry. There is nobody better. They've got the experience, the wisdom. Now, Paul was building these when this bike was brand new, but back in, this was probably some of the first forks he worked on were these, and 40 years later, they got it dialed in, guys. They got to figure it out. So my dad used to say, give to Caesar what is Caesar's and give to God what is God's. And, you know, when you got guys like this, engineers that have been doing it for 40 years, why would you want to even try to drill the valves and do all the tricks and that people try to do? You know that these guys are the best. And Bill, these forks were completely original bushings, original springs, and they worked okay by 40-year-old ago standards. But after 40 years of tuning, trust me, these Race Tech emulators, the progressive springs are much better than the original springs. They're not all clapped out. You know, when you transport your bike and you crank them down, the springs get worn out. These are the original springs. You can see there's a little wear on the spacers. So this bike is gonna feel like, well, it's probably better than the factory bikes were in '82. I'd be willing to guess, because 40 years, I'm sure it is, because 40 years of evolution. This Race Tech shock is a custom series shock, and they spec it to the rider's weight, the bike, everything about it. So, and this will bolt right on. Wizard's gonna put this together later today. I can't wait to see this thing done. I'll do a full video for you guys when the video is done. The bike's had a frame up, redo, and it's kind of pointless to have a world-class 250 two-stroke engine with clapped out 1982 suspension, you know, and the shock was blown. And even if we rebuilt it, it would have never been anything like this Race Tech shock. And with the gold valve emulators, fresh seals, what kind of oil do you use in there?
I use Motul oils. So
Excellent. How many? What weight is that?
This is 15 weight oil.
15 weight.
Yep.
Excellent.
The oil weight in the older forks controls the rebound action. So you control rebound with the viscosity of the oil in a fork. Modern stuff, the viscosities run around 5 weight, and the valving controls both the rebound and compression.
Now this still has an air valve cap in there. Do you recommend?
That's an air assist. So if you wanted the fork to hold up in the stroke a little more, you'd add 4 to 6 psi.
Or maybe it's Southwick where you want it to be a little higher, going through the whoops, maybe.
Yeah, or if you just feel like you wanted a little bit more hold up in the stroke, you could just add some air to that, and that was the air assist design. Even Simon's fork back in the day had that feature where they use a little air just to. It's very low pressure. It was just 4 to 6, 8 psi maximum.
Outstanding. And as Bill mentioned, not only is the shock fully rebuildable, but this fork can be rebuilt, and you can get the parts from Race Tech if you ever want to redo your seals or buy a new set of springs. This is a way to keep your 40-year-old vintage motocross bike up to today's standards, and that's a big part of the safety of motocross. You don't want to be doing these big jumps with clapped out suspension. You know, if you got no dampening on the rear, you're gonna fly over the bars and wad up your beautiful vintage bike.
I always source OEM equipment, OEM parts when I can. They fit the best. They were designed for that, and it's sometimes a challenge trying to figure out the right combination of things. But
just to be clear, Bill probably does as much or more new bikes because he's at the track working on all the 2024, 23 bikes, and all of your clients that are competitive racers are riding new bikes, right? So, what brands of bikes do you do? All brands?
I do all brands. Yep, all levels of suspension.
So, what's the best way of someone to get a hold of you if they want to have their bike dialed in totally?
Send me an email and or give me a call.
What's your phone number?
860-267-1710.
267-1710.
Correct.
And the email?
Email is bill@ccycle.com.
40 years as an engineer, 25 years doing nothing but suspension. This guy's a guru in the industry. Kaplan America approved all of his products and services. You're not going to find anybody better. He's an honest, hardworking American that is producing the best vintage suspension solutions in the industry today. There's nothing better than that. So,
and my motto is I'm here to work for that customer. I custom build it right for that customer. If you got a problem, come call me and we'll work it out. I have I'm here because I love what I do.
You wouldn't be at the track on the weekends working 40 hours on the 40 hours on the weekends
And
when,
I go to the pro nationals to study those bikes, to watch how the best riders in the world handle certain parts of their track, because it all translates back to the local guys too.
and I've seen you trackside for the last 25 years, all the time. Every time we go to races, you're there. So, and the guys that are using the suspension, most of them are racers. So if you want to race woods, you can set it up for woods. You want to do J-Day, you can do J-Day. You want to do moto, supercross. He's got the pro riders feedback, and he's been building the suspension for them. If you're just a vet rider, doing some local stuff, having fun, he'll set up the bike so that you don't blow your back out or smash your bike up over the whoops, you know.
And don't forget, I build flat track and ice bikes and trials and hill climbers. I have, that Harley Davidson hill climber that Mike Nardone has.
Yeah, the XR 750 that Mike Nardone has on display downstairs.
That's my suspension.
That's all his too. So if you got an extra long swing arm and for hill climb, you want to set up your bike the right way, give Bill a call. So we're gonna bring these down to the Wizard, put this thing together. Stay tuned, guys. There's a good chance that by Two Stroke Tuesday we'll have this baby ready to rip. And I know that the new owner is gonna be really, really pumped. So thank you once again for the 100th time for taking care of our suspension needs. Thanks for watching, guys. Look at this guy. If you need a new gas, give us a call. We're stocked up with #1 gas dealer in the United States today. And we're also raffling off a brand new gas 250 on the 28th of this month in 4 weeks at kaplancycles.com.